NIB has increased its contribution rates to coincide with the rise in medical fees from November the 1st and because of steep increases in hospital charges. The new rates to apply from next Monday: basic medical $5.10 for family, an increase of $1.20. The new single rate $2.55. Hospital $7.50 family, up $1, $3.75 for single. While contribution rates are up, NIB has announced increased benefits for medical and paramedical services.
I think it's going to be much closer probably than people originally thought, and I think also the result of the Queensland game shouldn't be allowed to distort things. Australia have had this unhappy tour of Pakistan. That's obviously going to leave a legacy. They're going to depend, I think, a great deal still on Chappell, Lilly and Marsh. They're all getting a bit older. Chappell had a bad season last year, didn't he? I wonder if he's quite as keen as he was. Lilly, well, when fast bowlers get after the age of 30, they tend to get a bit slower. They don't mend from injuries as quickly as they used to do. I don't think there will be much in it. I think Ian Botham could be a crucial man in the series. I think David Gower's batting. I believe David Gower could have quite a part to play in the series. The crucial member of the England side to England's chances is, I think, Bob Willis, not only as a captain, but of course as a bowler. His knees, I think they've been operated on more than any other in the game of cricket. if they can stand up to the hard Australian pitches and he stays fit for the 5 tests, I think England won't come second by all that much.
Civil Rehabilitation Council is really the brainchild of the Social Welfare Department at the CAE, but outsiders are invited to help with the work, which begins when a prisoner is sentenced.
Rehabilitation starts the day the prisoner's sentenced, because we don't want him coming out of prison in the way that he went in. And, we want to link in with the families, because it's important that they understand and they appreciate what's going on, because sometimes it's the families who suffer the most.
There are groups doing similar work at the moment. Do you feel that there is room for another group like your own?
Oh yes, the statutory agencies that link in directly with the prisoners and their families are overworked, and there are limitations because they've got other obligations to meet. And it's important that there is one group that can focus directly onto the needs of the prisoner and his family.
NIB has increased its contribution rates to coincide with the rise in medical fees from November the 1st and because of steep increases in hospital charges. The new rates to apply from next Monday: basic medical $5.10 for family, an increase of $1.20. The new single rate $2.55. Hospital $7.50 family, up $1, $3.75 for single. While contribution rates are up, NIB has announced increased benefits for medical and paramedical services.
We've introduced some new benefits for day surgery and increased a number of ancillary benefits, particularly for dental and chiropody, chiropractic, those type of services.
How do these compare with other funds?
Merryweather's Mitchell Park was the venue for a 24-hour jog-a-thon to raise money for the Newcastle branch of the Spastic Centre. It was conducted as a relay with each man running 5 kilometres. Although there were rest periods, it had been a long, hard night. But seeing the children there this morning to cheer them on seemed to give the runners that added incentive to finish the course. For the final lap, the children were given a taste of what the men had endured, and some of them even tried to lighten their benefactor's load. Organiser Tony Van Eyne says the 370-kilometre jog was well worthwhile.
It's worth trying to raise money for these kids, and there's nothing better to do it. When we healthy people got something wrong, we'll cry, and these children never cry. They're always smiling and happy, and that gives us a big boost.
The men estimate they've raised some $2,000, and after such an effort, a celebration was definitely in order.
Debbie with a straight or pike jump, and straight away Brett's going to do some somersaults. Debbie keeps her eye on him. He's a bit heavy to be landing on him. Okay. And I think we've got Scotland. Here we go, a double somersault. You just saw it happen a moment ago, but this is with somebody much bigger. Okay.
Newcastle media representatives gathered at NBN this afternoon for a preview of NBN's reporter-producer Jim Sullivan and cameraman Gunter Schmidt's hour-long documentary entitled The Lucky Country. Such is the interest and importance of the programme to the Hunter Valley, it's scheduled for prime-time viewing next Sunday evening at 7:30. After 3 weeks of intensive investigative work, how does reporter Jim Sullivan see the future of coal exports from the Hunter? Could it really be called the Lucky Country?
I think the answers we got from the industry leaders in Asia indicate that they think we've got a lucky country, but what happens in the future depends on how reliable we are in supplying them with the fruits of this luck, with supplying them with coal. They want our coal, but we've got to watch that reliability.
But you're talking about industrial troubles?
Yeah, they are very aware of our industrial troubles. They maintain computerised logs of every industrial dispute in the Hunter Valley.
So
it was comments like these contained in the documentary that no doubt helped to form that opinion.
If during our coal firing plant operations there are any series of labor dispute caused some delay of the deliveries and demurrage of the shipment, it caused a serious burden for us.
And the in-depth look at the Hunter's coal export prospects was no less due to the dedicated filming of NBN's head cameraman, Gunter Schmidt.
Every time I think on it or I see an excerpt out of the film, I think, oh, I'm tired, I feel exhausted. But really the interesting part for me was trying to just capture part of Asia on film. Also trying to work out whether or not your batteries are charged of a morning when you plug them into a hotel system and you think, is it churning out 80 volts, 100 or 110?
But given those obvious problems, you got what you wanted?
It was, yes.
Fine, I'll do a reverse.
as members from the Hunter Primary and Secondary School Sports Association prepared petitions fighting the cutbacks, the announcement came through that the government planned to allow casual sports teachers until the end of the year. Mr Ian Gorton, executive of the association, greeted today's news.
I've just received a phone call about 20 minutes ago from the Secretary of the State Primary Association to notify me that the state government has now granted 195 days for primary sport and 209 days for secondary sport to allow sport to continue throughout the state for the rest of this year, and those days will be administered by the state offices in Sydney.
That's all very well for this year. What happens next year?
Well, obviously the thrust of tonight's meeting, being held at the Newcastle High School at 7:30 tonight, would have to change in that we were after relief days to see out the rest of this year so that sport could continue for the representatives of our region. But now, of course, that's been granted in part, not in full, but in part to allow the sport to continue. There has been no definite announcement as to what will happen next year. In fact, we've been told that the freeze still exists for next year. So obviously, if we're going to have casual relief available for sport, the thrust of tonight's meeting now will be to approach members of Parliament and to work in that direction with petitions to try and have casual relief for sport available during 1983.